Hey there everybody, hope your day is going well. Jared Old School Gaming here, and welcome back to another Wild Wednesday. Yeah, this time I'm taking a look at ProtoMario's theory. Yeah, Pokemon theory, do Pokemon murder their trainers? Initially, I would say no, but, I mean, is there a possibility of that? I would think there's definitely a possibility. I mean, you take like someone the size of say Brook and his Onyx. I mean, there's a significant size difference. So, is it possible that Brook could get murdered by Onyx if Onyx just wasn't paying attention or something? Or maybe a wild Onyx? Yeah, possibly. I mean, gigantic set of boulders versus a squishy human. I think we all know who's going to win in that case. But that would be a wild one. The question is, do Pokemon murder their trainers, as in caught Pokemon? Like, okay, thinking about that could actually be quite the interesting theory. So let's get into ProtoMario's video here.
Hello and welcome back, YouTubers, to another episode of Pokemon Theories. I'm your host, ProtoMario, and this is the show where we discuss theories ranging from Red being a ghost to why the heck Jinx looks the way she does. Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I'm ProtoMario, and today's Pokemon Theory is going to be over how Pokemon don't kill humans. Now, I know what you're thinking. Pokemon don't just murder humans, and Eevee doesn't just go on a killing spree, and you can't die from hugging yourself a Squirtle. Well, more or less, those statements may or may not be right, as long as those Pokemon don't have rabies, or Pokerez.
Almost makes me wonder what would rabies be in the Pokemon universe, because Pokemon do get afflicted with certain things, like paralysis, burn, poison. Well, sleep is more of a condition than an affliction, because you can always get out of sleep. You would have to go to a Pokemon Center in order to get rid of any paralysis, burn, or poison. And confusion's more temporary, because you can always switch out a Pokemon in order to just have the confusion, poof, magically disappear. So, and rabies would probably be quite scary, because it affects animals and humans completely differently, because once it infects a human, it completely hides from the immune system until it infects the brain, and then just slowly causes deterioration until death, which is what makes it so damn scary, especially since there's no really cure for it, especially once it reaches the brain. So, yeah. But I don't know, with the level of technology in the Pokemon universe, maybe they did find a cure.
Anyways, back to the subject at hand. Pokemon, in general, are not lethal to humanity. Although they have the destructive force that could possibly rule or destroy the world, as Mewtwo so eloquently put it, Pokemon, they in themselves, really don't have too many motives to do anything on their own. I mean, seriously, how many times have you seen a forest on fire because a Charizard was trying to catch a Pidgey for dinner?
Well, there's not really much in the way of, like, what food they eat. I mean, in first gen, there's no food, period. It's just, I mean, there are, of course, different potions, but those are more applications. And the only thing that would be considered food product would be like lemonade, soda, and water up in Celadon Tower. And that's pretty much it. At least in the second gen, there was the introduction of berries and whatnot. Like, kind of, because, I mean, some Pokemon have very, very razor-sharp teeth, indicative of a carnivore. So, and then even in the anime, like, there's no... Well, okay, I suppose there is, like, a few episodes where the humans eat meat, but all the Pokemon just eat Pokemon food. So, Is it kind of like the dry dog food where it's just like, essentially just, here, just eat whatever's in front of you, and or eat this like crunchy stuff all the time, and maybe Pokemon are the same thing, but maybe they want to eat meat. I think there have been a few cases where like the Pokemon are eating human food, like not just Meowth but other Pokemon as well. Hmm. I suppose that would kind of lead into a theory. What do Pokemon eat? That could definitely be an interesting theory to get into. I wonder if you've already done that. Maybe.
Doesn't really happen. So, the real issue I'm trying to address here is that some of the Pokedex entries conflict with how humans interact with their Pokemon. Once again, I'm mainly sticking to the games, and I'm not really mentioning anything concrete, I'm just leaving it out there. It's the fact that there's a little bit of anime mixed in with this. My best example is Muck. It is just a pile of toxicity. Muck is nasty. I mean, seriously. Do you guys know of another Pokemon that is basically just built up of... Oh, yeah, you do. How about coughing? How about wheezing? How about Garbodor? But seriously, Muck... Oh, my lord. Just from red and blue alone, it is thickly covered with a filthy, vile sludge. It's so toxic, even its footprints contain poison.
Yeah. Muck is definitely an interesting one, and maybe Muck is more a remnant of the past, because when you are walking through the games, things are relatively clean. There's no trash in the middle of the streets, and hell, just kind of like the streets of Japan. There's no trash can every 20 feet, yet there's not a single drop of trash on the ground. So maybe there's like a turning point where pollution got so bad that Pokemon like a Grimer and Muck, that coughing and wheezing, were born, and that was kind of like the wake up point for all the humans in the Pokemon universe. That hey, we need to find cleaner energy. We need to clean up our streets and make sure we're not just living in filth. I thought maybe that's why to the east of Rock Tunnel, there's that abandoned power plant, because that power plant would have used like some kind of fossil fuels or something, and now it's abandoned. And hell, there's I don't remember exactly what Pokemon are available there off the top of my head now, but I mean there's there's a lot of Pokemon just kind of wandering around because I think mainly because there's no humans left, but and hell, who's to say that maybe the pollution from the fossil fuels of that power plant didn't attract so many Pokemon that who knows, maybe they did murder a bunch of humans. But then again, that is wild Pokemon. We're like, do Pokemon murder their trainers? That's the main question of the theory. And hell, maybe if you catch a Grimer or a Muck or a coughing, wheezing, whatever, maybe something along those lines. Maybe spending enough time with those Pokemon. Maybe it's like a slow toxicity, like smoking cigarettes. It's a slow toxicity over time that eventually will kill you. That's interesting. An interesting thought, at least.
Yellow. It smells so awful, it can cause fainting. Through degeneration, it's lost its sense of smell, and in Stadium, becomes indistinguishable if it hides in dirt. Touching its sludge-covered body causes horrible poisonings. Now, why am I using Muck as an example? Well, it's simple, guys. In an episode of the anime, several episodes, Muck hugs, touches, etc. Ash, Professor Oak, and other Pokemon. Think about this for a second. Muck's body touching something causes extreme poisoning. A Pokemon that would be prone to poisoning, as in a not poison type, and touching muck would cause serious damage to that Pokemon, and potentially would kill them pretty quickly.
Okay, so is this more along the lines of, like, because muck is essentially a ball of sludge, that when it touches another Pokemon, or a human, basically anything that's not a poison type Pokemon, whether that's a primary or secondary typing, then maybe unintentionally muck will poison them, but I don't know, because, like, again, we're talking about, like, probably the muck that Ash caught, and yes, that muck is quite affectionate. So maybe it's a little more along the lines of, yes, muck is technically a poison type. It's essentially made of sludge, but being that it is caught, it does have a certain. Maybe being in the Pokeball would put, like, certain restrictions on it, that it can't transfer that poison unless, like, the trainer is actually using it in battle. Maybe it's, or maybe not even just the Pokeball is putting the restriction on it. Maybe muck, as a at least an intelligent ball of sludge, at least more intelligent than a ball of sludge normally would be. Maybe just muck as a Pokemon knows that, hey, I can't transfer my poison, so I'm going to hold back, but I'm still going to be very affectionate with, like, just the physicality of my body. Maybe something along those lines. And it's not that just touching muck gives you poison. Maybe it's that muck would either intentionally try to transfer the poison, or intentionally hold back the poison from being transferred out.
It is a horrible, toxic liquid. That's all it is. It's made up of Grimers. Its slime contains poison. How does a Pokemon trainer touch a Pokemon like this? Sure, there are other Pokemon like Charizard. How does one control a raging dragon that has the capability of lighting fields and fields on fire in seconds? And, other Pokemon like Gyarados that can destroy cities in its rampage. How do trainers survive around Pokemon like this?
Well, I would say that initially, just existing in the Pokemon universe, maybe at first it was very hard. I mean, hell, I think, yeah, it was last month talking about, like, what's inside a Pokeball, and, Samuel's old Pokeball was a significant downgrade compared to modern Pokeballs. And back then, maybe it was a lot harder than it is now, just because of technological advancements. So like, how do people survive? It's more. I would suppose, like, because a person doesn't become a Pokemon trainer until they are 10 years of age. And even before that, I mean, we see, like, throughout the anime, we do see other children younger than Ash, which actually I would say Ash is at least 11 years old, but maybe that's a talk for another day. Yeah, but, we do see kids that are younger than Ash, and they are playing around with their Pokemon, and, like, not all of them are poisoned, but there are a number of Pokemon that could be considered extremely dangerous. So how do people survive around those Pokemon? Well, they just do. it's I mean, hell, I used the example last time, like, all the Pikachu running around powering the Pokemon Center in the second episode. Pokemon are more than just wild creatures that just roam the wild. They are a part of everyday life, especially with how people can integrate them, like those Pikachu or any other thing. So a Pokemon like Muck would just be another Pokemon that's just kind of, maybe not to be integrated with everyday life, but a part of the Pokemon world.
Honestly, the question isn't so much as how does a trainer control a Pokemon like Gyarados from destroying the world. but rather, how does a trainer prevent themselves from becoming poisoned by touching a muck or accidentally stepping in their footsteps? Think about it for a second. I mean, really, if a muck is so poisonous that if you touch it, you get extremely poisoned, how does a trainer do and have any physical contact with it? We've seen it. Professor Oak gets slammed by it, Ash gets slammed by it, other Pokemon get slammed by it. So how did they not get poisoned?
Kind of like I said earlier, it's more that muck is able to control itself, and hell, maybe it's more of a maybe it's more of a Pokemon thing, cause like we do know that, you know, like, okay, maybe rabies can transfer from animals to humans in certain cases, but there are also other, like, there are certain diseases that maybe humans can catch that dogs can't, and certain things that can affect dogs that don't affect humans, and maybe it's that kind of that way with Pokemon, maybe like muck. Because muck is a giant ball of poisonous sludge, but maybe because it's a Pokemon and not a human, maybe it only affects Pokemon and not humans.
Again, I'm trying not to refer to the anime, but that's my main example. But let's say you have yourself a fire-type Pokemon, and many fire-type Pokemon are so hot they emit an aurora that causes a boiling point.
Okay, well, you've brought up the anime a few times, and it was actually in I forget which episode, somewhere in the Indigo League, where Ash is racing racing on a Ponyta, and like initially he tries to touch the Ponyta, and the Ponyta itself just burns him. Then later on, he gets on the Ponyta, and it doesn't burn him at all. So again, yeah, that is Ponyta's more controlled. Like, I trust you, so I'm not going to burn you, or I don't trust you, I don't know you, so if you get close, my fire is going to burn you. Maybe that kind of thing. And hell, that would apply the same way, even when Muck is touching other Pokemon, because like I said just a minute ago, maybe the whole Muck poisoning only Pokemon, again, maybe when it's like being friendly and playing with Pokemon, it doesn't actually poison them because it's controlling that. Just how Ponyta controls the fire and whether or not it actually burns whatever's touching it.
So how in the world do you last around a fire type who just literally has such heat inside them, it's hot enough to melt steel? It's a good question, and I currently only have one theory. But hey, it's Pokemon Theory, so let's discuss it. My only theory is that Pokemon are able to control themselves. While Muck in itself could be a completely different theory, there are a multitude of things I have to ask about it. But that's for another day. However, I do believe that Muck and Grimers are able to control themselves. Same with coughing and wheezing. Though coughing and wheezing levitate from the gases they emit and things of that nature, I do believe they have the ability to control the toxicity levels that they release within their poisons and their gases to prevent them from killing their trainers. Now, the question is, if you had a bad trainer, would your Muck turn on you and kill you? I'm not sure if that is a plausible thing or not. I'm not sure if that's even ever happened. But the point is that the conflicting Pokedex entries definitely make Muck a curious specimen and present the question, how do Pokemon trainers not get hurt by their own Pokemon? So guys, if you have a response for this, please leave it in the comment section below, or if you're brave enough, make a video. But just think on it real hard before you comment, because there have been examples of trainers being hurt by Pokemon, Ash Ketchum a primary example, and there have been examples of trainers not getting hurt by Pokemon, Ash, again, a prime example, getting hugged by his muck. I'm ProtoMario and I'm signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.
Okay, I could have answered myself a few times there, but I just let you finish because I figured, it's not that long to go. So, okay. So, yeah, okay, you said the thing that I said earlier, that, yes, muck can control itself on, how it releases its poison, whether intentionally or not. And then, hell, I did say a while back that, that maybe the poison is only affecting 2 Pokemon and not humans. Maybe it's like a special kind of thing that way. And hell, like you said, there are many instances of Ash, being hurt by Pokemon, and many instances of him not. Which, I mean, hell, maybe it's just like, what's the, maybe sometimes it's more of a scrape that he gets hurt by Pokemon, and other times maybe not. I mean, when he got hurt by Ponytail, didn't he, call on his Squirtle to, put water on his hands to cool the burn or something? Maybe? I don't know, it's been so damn long, I totally forget, but, yeah, maybe, because, wild Pokemon can definitely be dangerous. I mean, hell, there was, somewhere in the second gen journeys when, Ash and company were roaming through a forest, and there was a bunch of, no, not Teddy Ursa, Ursaring. There's a ton of Ursaring just in the forest that were constantly just attacking everything that moved. And Ash, Brock, and Misty were extremely terrified of the Ursaring and what damage they could do. Of course, those were wild Ursaring, not trained Ursaring. So there's definitely a significant difference there. Wow, there's quite a bit to talk about here, but I'm pretty sure I said everything I would have wanted to say, so yeah, that's going to be it for this one. So yeah, I guess we're starting a new year of theories, and hopefully there's enough. I mean, ProtoMario definitely has a lot, but I wouldn't want to jump into second-gen theories without at least starting Let's Plays of second-gen Pokemon, which, yeah, that's gonna be a long ways in the future, because I would have to not only finish everything, but also finish all the Poketalks and whatnot, so, yeah, I've got 2 out of the 16 badges, so it's gonna be a long while before I get around to that. In the meantime, I'll get this edited together and all that good stuff. So yeah, hope to see you in the next one, wherever you might want to show up. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, hit that bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video. I'll follow the links to all my different social media, and as always, have fun.